All right, guys. Unfortunately, this is the end of the Rams 2023 to 24 season. Brutal loss, 24-23. We're going to discuss, a bit about this and just kind of my instant reaction. This one's a stinger, man. There's no easy way to look at it. I mean, I think, anytime you come away with 367 yards out of your quarterback, he throws 2 touchdowns, doesn't turn the ball over. You don't really turn the ball over. You lose your running back due to a hand injury who's running the ball well. You have a rookie who sets the record for most yards receiving in a playoff game. I mean, just a lot of different things. It's just a tough pill to swallow for Rams fans, for myself, for the Rams players, coaching staff, their families, etc. Just really, really, really tough game. I mean, 24-23, you got to credit the Lions for making the plays they made. But don't worry, guys. I am going to talk about it because I think it needs to be addressed. I don't think it's being, I guess, like not having sportsmanship or whatever they want to say. I do think that the officiating had a huge role in the ending of this game. I thought there were a bunch of missed calls down the stretch, which I get. There's always missed calls. This is one of the most flagged defensive pass interference teams in the league. Wrolstad, the official, he throws the most flags for defensive pass interference in the league. And for whatever reason, the first half, they got a few. The second half, they swallowed the whistle. The thing that irks me is not even the Puka Nacua pass interference, because I feel like that was egregious. But, also to throw the flag on Havenstein, that hold, which wasn't a hold, hurt the Rams. Now they have to punt instead of going for it on a 4th and short. But the thing that I think really irks me is we talk about player safety all the time, but we don't really care about the players, right? I mean, at least that's what the NFL is telling us. Because first off, look at Matthew Stafford. He gets drilled right in the head twice. No call. Looked like he was concussed. Looked like he was out of the game. No call. So to not throw the flag on that was pretty bad. And then the hit on Tyler Higbee, I don't know if that's a hit on a defenseless receiver. I mean, it should be. But everyone's talking about getting rid of the hip drop tackle. Get rid of that. Why are defenders allowed to go helmet first into a knee like that? That's what I don't understand. So I'm not really a big fan of that, to put it, out there, but man, I'm really proud of this team. I think this was again, it's a frustrating loss, but I thought they outplayed the Lions leaps and bounds. By the way, I think the first half, the Lions were slightly better. I think the second half, the Rams absolutely dominated. They held the Lions to 3 points. Their offense moved the ball better. I thought that they were way better. They dealt with way more. Guys kept getting hurt. Guys kept getting, sent to the blue tent. But I give a lot of credit to Puka Nacua, a rookie stepping up in this spot, going 181 yards on 9 receptions and a touchdown. Just a hell of a performance. At the same time, I don't think this Lions secondary is very good. This is one of the best offenses in the league currently, so they were supposed to do this. But the secondary, I do think, got away with a lot. And it's why this game, Stafford didn't throw for 500 yards. So that's what I'll say there. But again, congrats, the Lions. You finally won a playoff game after 30 years. I mean, that's pretty awesome. Looking at the defense, I thought first half, they couldn't stop anything, right? First half, they couldn't stop anything. It was pretty brutal. However, then you get to the second half, and the second half is a little bit different, right? You look at the second half, and now all of a sudden the Rams have made the adjustments. This has been all year. Raheem Morris has done a really nice job of making these adjustments. I thought the defense played really well down the stretch. Ernest Jones with 2 sacks, Hoyt with, a half sack, and whatever the hell Jared Goff had there, Aaron Donald and Ernest Jones forcing that fumble. Not really sure what that was, but I think when you look at this game, this team is ahead of schedule, guys. This team's ahead of schedule. I mean, I had them going 10-7 and losing to the Lions before the season started. That's what I had. I had them losing to the Lions in the divisional round of the playoffs. The Lions aren't the team that I thought they were going to be. I thought they'd be the number 1 seed, but they're still pretty good. But what I'm going to say is that this Rams team has their first round pick back. They have their second pick. They have a third round pick. They have their 5th round. They're going to get another 5th round from Baker Mayfield. They'll have 2 6th. They'll have a 7th. This team and what they did this year, when everyone said that they were going to have fewer than 6.5 wins, and people said they were tanking for Caleb Williams. Well, now these people are going to laugh because the Rams are out. But in reality, who cares what they have to say, because none of them felt like this team was going to win anyway. They were wrong. They were proven wrong. This was the hottest team down the stretch. They won 7 of the last 8, and it took everything, including some missed calls, for Detroit to take it from them. But again, I'm really proud of this team. I'm proud of the way they hung in there. They only gave up 24 on the road to this Lions team. They had an opportunity at the end. The red zone, you have to be able to convert better in the red zone. So again, that's on the Rams. But no, there's not a quarterback that I would ever want over Matthew Stafford. This is why, by the way, the Rams got rid of Jared Goff. 367 yards, 2 touchdowns, despite the pressure. And there was a lot of it, but you didn't know because he was able to step up into that pocket. When you pressure Jared Goff, he folds like a lawn chair. That's why in the second half, they didn't really do much on the offensive side when the Rams started pressuring him. So it's unfortunate. I understand there's going to be a lot of people that are upset, but I think the Rams are in a great position. They have the best coach in the National Football League in Sean McVay. It's why a team that is paying $75 million to players that are not currently on the active roster, they're on other teams. They still won 10 games this year. And this is a great step in the right direction. Next year, they're going to have around 60 million in cap space. Let's talk about that though. Obviously the game is frustrating. And I mean, like I said, anytime that you outplay the other team and lose, and especially when there's some missed calls, that's frustrating. It is. I mean, let's call it like it is. But at the same time, the Rams had opportunities and they didn't come through on them. Those red zone play calls were predictable. I mean, that's, credit the Lions there. I mean, they did their job there. But again, I think both things can be true. Now let's talk about it, though. Looking at the Rams next year, you got Matthew Stafford at quarterback. Kyren Williams is one of the best running backs in football. You have him at running back. Okay. Then wide receiver. So at wide receiver, you have Puka Nacua, who is one of the best receivers in football already. And you're going to have him for 3 more years before you have to pay him. So that's great. You found him in the 5th round, right? So you got Puka Nacua. You got Cooper Kupp, who, let's be honest, Cooper Kupp was not the same. He's not 100%, but he will be next year. And I'm excited for that. I give him a lot of credit with the way he was able to get back and compete. And he had a few 100-yard games. But he is not the same that he was, obviously in the Triple Crown season. So, credit him for fighting that out because he's not 100%. He will be next year. Demarcus Robinson, this guy really ended up being kind of this hidden gem at the end of the season, really came on strong, was huge in the Giants game, was huge in the Saints game. This is somebody that just got better and better. He was the second leading receiver in this one. I give him a lot of credit. I think he could be back. We'll see what ends up happening. We'll see what the market looks like, but he could be back. Tutu Atwell, he had a touchdown in this one, his only target. He caught it, touchdown. I mean, Tutu Atwell, you look at what he can do over the top. He was getting phased out of the offense, but he'll be back next year, and I would not sleep on him in his contract season. Davis Allen, I thought you saw some great things out of the Clemson 5th round tight end. He had to step up. He did at times. Ben Skoranek, I thought, played pretty well. Obviously you'll have him next year. So looking at the wide receivers, like, I feel good. I mean, are the Rams probably going to go and get one more guy? Yeah, they'll probably draft a guy late or they'll sign somebody. And that's the thing. The Rams could go in a different direction. They might decide, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go and get T. Higgins, or I'm going to go out and get Cortland Sutton. I'm going to go out and get somebody big and do that. Or they might just be fine with what they have and just decide, we'll bring back Demarcus Robinson. We might draft a guy and leave it at that. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes. Obviously, at running back, going back to that, Kyron's your starter. Yes. What are you going to do behind him? Because Ronnie Rivers played well tonight. He was important. He had, a few huge plays, but I do think they need a number 2 that they feel really confident in, and that can work in pass pro. I think you're going to get that in the draft. I think the Rams do draft another running back. He'll be the number 2 behind Kyron. As for Stafford, do you look at today and look at the way Jordan Love played in in Dallas for Green Bay today? Do you look at that and say, maybe I should take a quarterback in the first round? Do you do that? Because here's the thing. I don't know if you do it, but I'm not saying you don't do it at this point, because I think Stafford's going to be around for a while. But do you do the same thing where Love sat for 4 years with Rodgers and took over in his 5th-year option year? Are you going to do that? Like, that's the question. Or are you not? I mean, I think Jordan Love, he makes a pretty damn good point the way he's playing to do that. So I think that's another interesting storyline there. Will Carson Wentz come back as the backup? Did he do enough in week 18 to become a starter somewhere? So that's something that's interesting there. At tight end, we got to have the conversation, folks. Tyler Higbee. Okay. Tyler Higbee was hit directly in the knee by, a hit that I think needs to be out of the NFL more than the hip tackle. The hip drop tackle or whatever. I think it's a problem to be able to dive right into someone's knee when they're running like that. Helmet first it's a player safety issue. And Higbee now might not play until late in the 2024 season because of this. And that's a problem. So look, I don't know what's going to happen with Higbee, but I saw his knee go the other way. I feel for him. I hope he's okay. I hope it works out and, he comes back fully healthy, before the season starts. But the Rams now have to plan for that. And they lost Hunter Long to a season-ending injury. They now lose Tyler Higbee. They're going to have Davis Allen. Bryson Hopkins is going to become a free agent, so you have to figure that out. And then the offensive line, what happens there? Alaric Jackson looked pretty solid tonight, okay? He's looked pretty solid throughout the year. I think he got better as the season went on. Keep in mind, last year he was playing well, and he had to sit out the rest of the year because of the blood clot in his leg. Steve Avila was great at left guard. He's 100% going to be back. Could be the center. We'll see what ends up happening. I think there's a chance they could move him to center, but if they don't, he's a great guard. Center. Do they move on from Coleman Shelton? To me, he's the weak link of the offensive line. I mean that in the fullest. I don't mean to be disrespectful. They're better players on the offensive line than Coleman Shelton. Coleman Shelton struggles, passing off responsibility when it comes to stunts and things like that. Do they move on from Coleman Shelton? Then you look at right guard. Okay. Kevin Dotson's going to be owed probably around $17 million in the offseason. Are you going to go and pay Kevin Dotson $17 million a year? Or are you going to let this be an Austin Corbett all over again? Let Austin Corbett leave, have a hole at right guard. What are you going to do? And I think that's the thing that the Rams have to decide whether or not, they're going to figure that out. Then you look at right tackle. Havenstein, lock, okay? Love Havenstein long-term, great. Does Noteboom stay? Do they trade Noteboom? He's a nice utility guy who can be that sixth man, but what do they do with him? Because he's owed a lot of money and he's not even going to be a starter. Then you have guys like Warren McClendon. You have guys like Tremaine Ankrum. We'll see how things work out. Brian Allen, of course, backing up Coleman Shelton. So I think they would end up drafting a center. I think they could draft a left tackle. Personally, I would definitely be looking at a left tackle and bringing back Alaric Jackson, maybe in like a utility spot to replace, Noteboom. So those are my thoughts on the offensive line, the wide receivers, the tight ends, the running backs, and the quarterbacks going into the offseason. Now, looking at the defense, I'll say this. Up front, the Rams have a really, really nice future up front with Kobe Turner. Bobby Brown is great in the run game. I was really impressed the way Jonah Williams played tonight and throughout the season. Maybe Laurel Murchison gets brought back, maybe not. Desjuan Johnson, Mr. Irrelevant, played a lot of snaps. We'll see what ends up happening there. But they look pretty good in the trenches there on the defensive line. Now, on the outside linebackers, what we're looking at is they need an edge defender. I got to give Michael Hoyt a lot of credit. This game was not perfect. He was put in bad situations he wasn't going to succeed in. However, he continued to step up. He made a huge play, huge pressure on Goff, forced an incompletion on third down, set up a fourth down. They punted, gave the Rams an opportunity. Hoyt really stepped up down the stretch. I still think the Rams need to upgrade at edge. 100% feel that way, that they need to upgrade at edge. So Hoyt doesn't have to go, so to speak. What Hoyt needs to do is be that third guy or that fourth guy. The Rams, in my opinion, need to go out and pull out all the stops to either get a Josh Allen, a Brian Burns, somebody like that. They need an elite pass rusher across from Byron Young, in my opinion, because that is really what I feel like this defense was missing, as well as some other things I'll get into. Then you look at their inside linebackers. Now, I'm a big fan, obviously. When I look at the inside linebacker, I am a big fan of Ernest Jones. I like Jake Hummel. I like Christian Roseboom, and I like Troy Reeder. However, I would like to see them go out and maybe get a guy like Blake Cashman, who's currently with the Texans right now. If he hits free agency, I think Blake Cashman would be great. He has the ability to work in coverage. He played at an all-pro level this year, to be honest with you. But the athleticism, the sideline-to-sideline ability is fantastic. So I would love to go out and get Blake Cashman, put him next to an Ernest Jones. Then you look at the cornerback spot. I'd love to bring back Akello Witherspoon. We'll see what ends up happening. He is a free agent. I thought he played well enough to get a pretty big contract. We'll see what ends up happening, but I thought he had a really good year, and the Rams are going to potentially want to bring him back. You got Kobe Durant, who was playing well down the stretch. You got Darion Kendrick, who they really like, and they'll stick by. Duke Shelley will be a free agent. We'll see how that works out. Kind of was more of a special teamer down the stretch. To me, I think it points towards the direction they're going to go in the cornerback realm there. Probably in the draft, maybe the second round, third round, something like that. I think they'll bring in another corner. They might sign Akello. They might sign, somebody like a L'Jarius Sneed. They might go out and get somebody like that in free agency, but I do feel like they'll be looking at corner. And then last but not least, the safety position. Actually, I can't let you go without talking about that last position. Hold on a sec. The safety position, though, let's talk about it. Jordan Fuller, unfortunately, has played his last game, in my opinion, as a Ram. I don't see them bringing him back. They don't pay safeties, that often. So I don't see him coming back. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see him be able to play in his last game and not just watch from the sidelines as an inactive. I think he would have been huge in this one for them. But I think he's going to be gone. So with that said, now you're down to John Johnson, who is also going to be in free agency. Do they bring him back a year? And now you're down to Quentin Lake, Russ East, and Jason Taylor II. You have guys on the practice squad. Don't get me wrong. Somebody like Tanner Ingle, that's really interesting down the road. UDFA played well in preseason. We'll see what happens with him. But there's a guy by the name of Antoine Winfield Jr. over with Tampa, who's going to be playing tomorrow night. And if he becomes available, man, he is beyond what Honey Badger was at his best. I think if the Rams can get their hands on a guy like Antoine Winfield Jr., they should highly consider doing so in the offseason. Would love to add him, what he can do as not only a blitzer, but somebody in run support, and then what he can do as a ball hawk, and just force, turnovers. I think the emphasis in this offseason should be protecting Matthew Stafford. If you can upgrade. Keep Stafford healthy. Protecting Matthew Stafford, and then finding ways on the defensive side of the ball to generate more turnovers and give Stafford more offensive possessions. That's what the Rams were missing, I think, big time. I think the thing that was holding them back that we didn't really see because it's covered up is that they weren't stealing possessions. They weren't getting these bonus possessions. So I think that's something to keep in mind moving forward. As far as the punter, they're good. Ethan Evans is great. Long snapper, Alex Ward, can't wait till he's back. They miss him. And kicker, Maher was not the problem tonight. Okay. He also didn't miss anything. But I think they move on. Maher's older. I think they're going to go in the direction of drafting a kicker, or they might go after one of the UFL kickers that we'll be watching in March, April, around that. So draft, UFL, maybe they sign somebody, but we'll see what direction they go in. I'll just say this. Really, really, really impressed with the job Sean McVay did this year to take this team that, I'll be honest with you, I had them going 10-7. The reason I had them going 10-7 is I did believe in the talent, but they're not as talented as some of the other teams Sean McVay had. I believed in the fact that Sean McVay had grown. Sean McVay is the best coach in the NFL. Sean McVay develops players, and Sean McVay gets great coaching staffs. And the thing that's sad, the thing that I'm going to miss the most about this team is the fact that I feel like this was the best coaching staff that they might have had ever. Like the guys that they had in place, Michael LaFleur was huge this year. Losing Raheem Morris potentially is going to sting so badly. Bringing back Aubrey Pleasant, Ron Gould at running back coach. I mean, just so many different guys. I mean, whether you're talking about Ryan Wendell at offensive line coach, Nick Caley with the tight ends and what he's done for a guy like Davis Allen. It sucks to see them, go. It sucks to see them not, play another game. But hey, that's the way it is. We went through this in 2017. That's the last time the Rams exited in the first round of the playoffs. They weren't there last year. This is a step up from last year. And I'll tell you right now, you do not want to sleep on this team because this team is going to be back. Matthew Stafford proved tonight he is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in the National Football League. Okay. And here's the thing. They figured something out that they haven't been able to figure out in the entire history of Sean McVay's coaching career. And you know what that is? They figured out how to marry the run and the pass. And this game, unfortunately, it got away from them because of the injury to Kyron Williams. But this team, make no mistake about it, was a balanced offense that really just gave teams fits all year long. Everyone in the NFC should be happy this team is out, because they're a better football team, in my opinion, than the Detroit Lions. Their weaknesses aren't as glaring as the Detroit Lions, and I think teams are going to be able to throw on that secondary, and they'll be out in the next round potentially. So, look, credit the Lions, but at the same time, don't count this Rams team out next year. They got a first-round pick again, and again, I'll tell you right now, they got a good roster. They have a lot of opportunities to build upon this, and when you have a guy like Sean McVay, you can never count this team out. The only thing that stopped Sean McVay from a winning season was having a bevy of injuries. That's about it. So anyway, appreciate you guys. I am going to head on over. I'm doing a live stream on my other channel as well. On YouTube, you can follow me, Jake Ellenbogen over there. That is my name. You can follow me at JK Bogan on all social media. I appreciate you guys as always. I am out. But I'll see you guys very soon. You guys take care. It's been a fun season. Take care, folks.